The New York Times actually put out an article discussing two women who accuse Donald Trump of sexually assaulting them. So the New York Times published the account of two women who described unwanted sexual advances by Trump, followed by a third account that was published in People magazine. Donald Trump has subsequently threatened to sue them. And the Trump campaign described the entire New York Times article as quote unquote fiction that amounted to character assassination. The Trump campaign told People magazine, "This never happened. There is no merit or veracity to this fabricated story," close quote. We have, this is another quote, "We have substantial evidence to dispute these lies, and it will be made public in an appropriate way and at an appropriate time," Trump said. Jerry Falwell, Liberty University. I mean, this guy is really throwing everything he has behind Donald Trump. I think he's going all in, right? He's like, it's all or nothing. Jerry Falwell said that he has evidence that these people are lying, and that evidence is to be revealed. I don't know when. But this is one last thing that Trump said. He said, quote, "Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They are political special interests and no different than any lobbyist or financial entity with a total political agenda. And that agenda is not for you. It's for themselves. And their agenda is to elect crooked Hillary Clinton at any cost, at any price, no matter how many lives they destroy." Well, I mean, that's not totally inaccurate, to be fair, right? Because one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be fair. It's not totally inaccurate. I mean, if you look at the Podesta leaks, you'll see that, you know, there's a lot of sandbagging taking place with the media and with Hillary Clinton's campaign. So to dismiss that notion would be totally inaccurate and unfair and biased. So that last sentence is not necessarily. That last sentence is pretty true. It's hyperbolic, but it's true. However, that does not absolve Trump from the reality that chances are, Trump, according to your confession on tape, this is stuff that you've done, right? These are things you literally confessed to the world that you confessed to Access Hollywood that later got out to the rest of the world, that you have sexually assaulted women. So, yes, I think both of these things can exist. Yes, the media is doing their best to help Hillary Clinton get elected. I don't think any objective person can say that the media is not trying to stop Trump. They would categorize it as they're trying to stop Trump, right? But the net total is they're helping Hillary Clinton get elected. That's true. At the same time, Donald Trump, you bragged about sexual assault. So why would we not believe these women, the account of these women? All right. So what's interesting are the letters. And these, I would say, these are some pretty great letters to read. These are letters from Trump's lawyers and from the counsel for the New York Times. I just want to read some of the language because it was actually kind of fascinating to read yesterday or today. And according to Donald Trump's lawyers, they say to the New York Times, they say, "Your article is reckless, defamatory, and constitutes libel per se. It's apparent from, among other things, the timing of the article that it is nothing more than a politically motivated effort to defeat Mr. Trump's candidacy." And they also said, "Clearly, the New York Times is willing to provide a platform to anyone wishing to smear Mr. Trump's name and reputation prior to the election, irrespective of whether the alleged statements have any basis in fact." And finally, their conclusion to the New York Times was, "We hereby demand that you immediately cease and any further publication of this article, remove it from your website, and issue a full and immediate retraction and apology. Failure to do so will leave my client no option but to pursue all available actions and remedies." All right. That's Mr. Trump's attorneys. Mark Katzowitz of Katzowitz, Benson, Torres, and Freeman LLP, he came back and, well, I'll let you judge for himself. So from the New York Times to Donald Trump, the attorney states, the essence of the libel claim, of course, is the protection of one's reputation. The essence of a libel claim. That's an important word. All right. Mr. Trump has bragged about his non-consensual sexual touching of women. He has bragged about intruding on beauty pageant contestants in their dressing rooms. He acquiesced to a radio host's request to discuss his own daughter as a piece of ass. Multiple women not mentioned in our article have publicly come forward to report on Mr. Trump's unwanted advances. And he goes on and on. This is the part I want to read. We did what the law allows. We published newsworthy information about a subject of deep public concern. If Mr. Trump disagrees, if he believes that American citizens had no right to hear what these women had to say, and that the law of this country forces us and those who would dare to criticize him to stand silent or be punished, we welcome the opportunity to have a court set him straight. In terms of legal letters, that's the clapback. That's a serious clapback. So here we have two tensions, right? We have Donald Trump trying to, he absolutely has to assert the falsehood of these. He has to say these are lies, and he has to call it libel. And he has to defend his reputation, whether it's true or not. He has to do it. That's what he's going to do. Likewise, the New York Times is saying, listen, we're covered. You know why we're covered? Because you bragged about doing the exact thing these women said you did, right? And you not only did you brag about it, but then you talked about your daughter as being a piece of ass. So they're saying basically, you can waste your time. We could take this to trial. Sue us if you want to, but the court is going to set you straight. And to be honest with you, his lawsuit is going nowhere. It's just kind of a political posturing to try to push back, but it's not going anywhere because of everything they outlined in their letter. So that's the news of Donald Trump and this, and so ultimately, why does it matter? I mean, the lawsuit in itself kind of matters when you think about what happened to Gawker, when you think about the ability of people with a lot of money to actually sue media outlets out of existence, right? Gawker is going bankrupt and they are done. DOA. Now, granted, Gawker is not New York Times, and Gawker is, quite frankly, some people would agree that should have happened, but that's an argument for another day. But I mean, it really does matter, because if this is something that he said he did, and then people come out and say, yeah, he did it to us, what is the media supposed to do? Not report on it? No. They save that. They save that for the Podesta emails. That's what they're not going to report on. They're going to report on Donald Trump. They're not going to report on the Podesta emails.